Welcome to our short introduction to eTracker Analytics. It's called On the Safe Side with Max Data, and I'll explain what that means. My name is Olaf Brandt. I'm the CEO of eTracker. And before we jump into the application and I show you exactly how it looks like, please bear with me. I'll give you a short overview of who we are and why we do what we do. There's one challenge in the EU, especially at the moment. It's called data loss, and it's caused by the cookie consent requirement. And so obviously not all visitors to a website will consent, and it's a shame if a large portion of the data is lost because of that. The other challenge has to do with the data transfer outside of EU to the US, especially since the Privacy Shield agreement is no longer active, and basically since then the transferring of personal data to the US is prohibited unless you have other guarantees that you can provide, which is not something that's feasible for software as a service in the online marketing field. So marketers should have two wishes at the moment based on these two challenges. One is a European provider with data processing solely in the EU that would take care of the data transfer aspect. The other thing is having a cookieless tracking solution that would also work and would be lawful to use even if cookies are rejected, and regardless of a consent being given or not given. And the good news, is both of these things are possible with eTracker Analytics, and you can even and we can provide evidence that this is true. We've gone through a certification process with ePrivacy Consult, and the result is exactly what I said, and they basically confirmed that in cookieless mode, which is the standard mode, the use of eTracker Analytics is lawful without any consent requirement whatsoever. So this means that, regardless of or depending on users allowing or rejecting cookies, we can still track all their interactions and conversions, and only with the exception, of course, that if users accept cookies, we're able to activate them and use them in addition, but we're not depending on the consent to track information at all. Before we jump into the application, I want to let you know that we have three solutions, applications, eTracker Analytics. That's something we'll look at especially in depth today. There's an add-on for A/B testing, and we also have a new solution called Signalize, which allows you to send push notifications and also based on tracking information that is collected in our infrastructure. We're happy to be able to use data from Headshot. It's a brand in an online shop providing vegan hair colors. And now let's jump into it. All right, here you can see the dashboard, which gives you an overview of the performance of the various KPIs. You can select what period, time frame you're looking at. You can also see how many visitors are online right at this moment. There's also a light and dark mode if you want to present via a beamer, for example. This is can also be used on a mobile phone or on a tablet as well. And well, based on the selected KPI here, you can see then also how this performed over the time period you're looking at, and the basic segmentation by location, by source, medium, and by device type. And as you can see, you have a lot of mobile phone users coming to your site. You might want to know if they're just coming there, and are they also converting? Are they actually buying the hair color? And you might want to look at the orders by phone or the conversion rate, and well, you can see that there's not that much difference between mobile phone and desktop users, luckily. You also have top lists here that you can configure. For example, here you can see the top products, top keywords, and you can always change the dimension or the number you're looking at. And here you can already see a difference or what would be missing, or what is something that is only possible using cookies, and that's of course giving you a proper idea of the visitors, the unique visitors coming to your site. That's also only, of course, possible if they allow cookies, but everything else is not depending on cookies. And now it's always very important that it's very easy to track all of the information that you can see here. And we've done a lot of effort to make it as easy as possible to implement eTracker. And of course, it needs a basic tracking code to be implemented, but then we can automatically track basic events like external links, downloads. We can also track UTM campaign parameters used by Google Analytics, for example. Of course, page events are tracked automatically, and you can decide whether you want to see in the reports mainly the page title or the URL. It's also possible to incorporate get parameters. For example, if you have a multi-language page, you might want to also understand how many people are coming to your site in German, in English. And yeah, you just select this, the corresponding get parameter here, and then you can decide if you want to use that as part of the page name or as an area, as a category for these pages. Now, you also have, of course, custom events you might want to track. For example, if we jump into the online shop here, as an example, down below you have the option to opt in to the newsletter. And if you want to track that, you don't have to implement anything in the HTML part. You just copy the corresponding CSS selector. So you go here and say copy selector of this button, and then you can paste this information in here. Decide on which URLs pages you want to track this event. In this case, you can track it on all pages because it's in the footer. And then you just give some information how you want to track this. You can say it's the categories of this event is a conversion, and it's the newsletter opt-in. And by adding this, you automatically track these events. So it's very easy to do. So we can also in a similar way that we track automatically UTM campaign parameters from Google, we can also track enhanced e-commerce events from Google. So that makes the implementation or the migration from Google Analytics that much easier. But of course, you can also use plugins for various shop system. Now you want to see how the reporting looks like, and now if we go to a basic report, it will look like, of course, also tools like Google Analytics, basic setting. You have the graphics. You can select which, in this case, page you want to see in this overview, and you can also select the KPI. And now the nice thing is the segmentation, adding new extra dimensions to this report. So you have the top pages visited, and well, you might want to look at this by medium, also called channels. So you might want to see if there's a higher bounce rate, for example, users coming from social media, which here, as you can see, is not the case. And then you can even drill down further and add another dimension, saying, okay, is this dependent on the device type, and in terms of how much traffic comes from these device types via, in this case, SEO. And you can change the perspective. And if you want to say, well, I want to see it, first of all, by device type, I want to see overall how mobile phone users are behaving on this main page, and then where are they coming from? And you can add, you can do this with all kinds of segments. Here's an overview of the main segments, and then you have all the other segments available as well. So this gives you a really nice way of drilling down into this information, really seeing where possibly optimization should happen. And if you've done such a configuration, you can also filter the pages by all kinds of information if you don't want to look at all the pages, but just a certain, you can do all of these things, and then you can save such a configuration so you don't have to do it all over again, and then of course access these different configurations as well. Well, you can export them, of course, also them manually or automatically using a report builder for automatic email reportings or alarms if you want to be notified in case something, a certain KPI goes up or down above a certain benchmark. Now then in addition, of course, you have the event reports. I showed you how easy it is to set them up. You have ClickPath reporting, so not just statically what are the top pages, but also how are they navigating, how are users navigating across your website based on the page that you select down here as a starting point, and then you can see how are they navigating. They're looking at a certain category page here very often, and so forth. Also, you might want to not just see the click path across all websites, but just a funnel reporting. That's something that you would do here. You go to the website targets, funnels, and then you can look at certain processes and of course the steps corresponding, and see the dropout rate by step and so forth. And it's very easy to set that up. Again, you don't need a programmer to do that. It's something that you can create with this step-by-step process. You would just enter the page name, or URL, or event associated with the conversion and conversion steps if you have a multi-step funnel process. Also, you might want to look at not just well, page impressions, stay time, but how are they scrolling, interacting with the different segments of the page? Like we saw here, the question is, not just how many people sign up, but in relation to the amount of people that even saw this part of the website. And you can easily do that. We also track automatically the scrolling behavior, and then you go to this scrolling report, and you can see how many, what's the percentage, the ratio of visitors staying or scrolling to a certain segment part of this page, and you can see down here it's below 50% of the users. Well, it's even only roughly a third that could even have a chance to opt in to the newsletter on this page. And of course, mobile, the page looks different, and you have a different scrolling behavior, and you can see it's here it's more than half. And you can navigate your site just in a normal way and for example, on this category list, you can see what are the top products. How important is it to really have the top sellers on top? Are people actually looking down here? And you can see, at least on a mobile phone, they're quite, yeah, they're scrolling even down here. And you can always see the key KPIs associated with this particular page here you're currently looking at. Well, then we also touched on marketing reporting. Like I said, we also track UTM parameters, but we also have our own, the eTracker link generator, where you can just enter the landing page, and then we'll decide on the campaign name. Maybe it's the Christmas campaign, and what's the medium? Select one, or enter a new one, and then you generate the link here, and you can also save the link if you want to, in order to access them again and again. And of course, you can then do all these reporting functionalities that we saw also on the top page side, including the segmentation, choosing between different attribution models. Of course, here is the caveat that, of course, a customer journey beyond the current day, that's only possible if users allow cookies and cookies are activated. But you can, of course, track all direct conversions. So people coming from a campaign to your site and they place an order, in this case, that's, of course, you can track that, measure that for all visitors, regardless of their acceptance of cookies. And yeah, the same, I mentioned e-commerce reporting. You can see the e-commerce funnel, and based on, for example, the product or a different category level, and see how many times the product was viewed, placed in a basket, removed from the basket, purchased, and so forth. And you can even see that is in a matrix, tops and flops, gives you a different angle on how popular a product is, so how often was it viewed and how often it was purchased. And so you obviously have a top seller here, had pink elephant, viewed a lot of times, purchased a lot of times, but you also have hype products. The rainbow set, for example, viewed many times, but purchased only, in this case, 3 times. So you have a problem here that's worth investigating. It has to do with the presentation, with the pricing, and so forth. Yeah, and then just to give you a quick intro also, the A/B testing tool, of course, you can use that in a very simple fashion. You can do for visual A/B testing. You enter, obviously, the URL of the page that you want to test. you can use the visual editor to make changes. Obviously, that is a bit limited if you have a very dynamic page, but you can always inject JavaScript, CSS script, and in this way implement changes very easily. Of course, but the USP for having integrated A/B testing is, of course, that you can access all the tracking information in order to segment variants, all or individually. Well, for example, if you've seen a specific problem with mobile phone users, you might want to do an A/B test just for users coming from mobile phones, etc. And in a similar fashion, you can also access the same data or the same profile data using Signalize, the push notification solution, which is independent on the one hand from eTracker Analytics, so you don't have to be in eTracker Analytics, use it to use Signalize. The first thing that you need to do is customize or activate the opt-in, so users are able to allow notifications being sent to them, which is quite easy. What you see is what you get. Decide on the layout. This box usually works best, and you can, of course, then adapt the design, the texting, and then you can, of course, easily create a notification. In this case, well, here's again select to send the notification to all subscribers or just selected subscribers, and again it's you can choose from all the tracking behavior on the site. For example, if you want to send a certain promotion just to users, subscribers who have not purchased an item from you. And then the design also is very simple. The text in this case is German, but you can just simply add a short text, obviously also emojis, and then an image and a button text, and that's it basically. And then you just define, do you want to send it out now or at a specific time? And you can also automate all of that, send out, for example, cart abandonment notices or trying to recover abandoned cards, or connecting Signalize push notifications with an RSS feed that you have on your shop, on your website. So automatically notifications are being sent out if, for example, a new blog post is published. Yes, and like I said, it's very. The nice thing is that it's Signalize, of course, uses cookies, but they're necessary cookies for the desired, the chosen service. So they're only set if people allow notifications to be sent, and it's not really dependent on these cookies for the notifications to be sent out. So it's very privacy friendly, Signalize as well. You don't need any personal information or email address to subscribe to these notifications. So that's basically the overview of the capabilities. The pricing is also transparent on our website. You can simply sign in for an account, test it for 30 days, and yeah, we'd be happy to welcome you as a customer. Thank you very much, and if you have further questions, please get in contact with us. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you and goodbye.